Yeah.
Hey, Soren.
Hey, Soren.
Nancy's on there. Oh, good, Nancy. Holy. Okay, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order with flag salute, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Your first one, isn't it? All right. So let's see. We have our 2026-2027 fiscal budget committee members. Laura, do you have a reason for that action item? Or there?
Because Miss Nancy Hall and Stephanie told me to put it in.
Okay. What would you like me to do with that?
I think it's just introduction.
Okay.
Because
We can-
these three are new.
Thank you. Okay, let's do introductions then. So, Tracy, can I start with you?
You bet.
Can you introduce yourself?
This is Foster.
Budget committee member.
Okay. Committee member. Oh, what?
That's it.
You want? Okay.
That's probably it.
Okay. Good. Just checking.
Mackenzie Webb, budget committee member.
Good Lord.
But we're going over here. Laura Nickel, secretary.
Stephanie Lewis, business manager.
Stacy Madison, superintendent. Kathy Gamble, budget committee member.
Lakeland School Board member.
Jamie Olson, school board member.
Christine Follett, school board member. Soren.
And you're muted.
Oh, you're muted. Oh, we might have muted.
Okay, is that it?
There you go.
Okay, Soren Round, school board member. I sorely apologize. I totally thought this was virtual.
That's
okay.
Thursday.
It's okay.
It works.
This is all okay. Okay. Our next item is to elect a budget committee chair. So in our budget committee, we'll have a chair and a vice chair who will actually handle our meeting in that space. So is there a chair the budget committee would like to nominate?
Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tracy Foster is nominated for the chair position. Is there a second?
Mackenzie.
No, do send me a second vote. I need somebody to second that nomination. Kenzie seconds that nomination. Do you have any concerns? No. Okay. Then we can go ahead and vote on that, Laura.
Okay. Here we go. I have to do all of them,
All of
right?
us. Yep.
George.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Tracy. Sure. Mackenzie.
Yep.
Kathy.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Soren.
Oh, Soren, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. And then is there a nomination for a vice chair in case chair can't be here? Okay, Mackenzie's been nominated. Is there a second?
Yep.
Tracy seconds that. Any concerns?
Nope.
Okay. Then Laura, can we take a vote on the vice chair?
Sure. George.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Kenzie.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Soren.
Yes.
Hey, motion carries 7-0.
So we will move it now to, I can make you do it, but I'll just, thanks. Yeah. We're going to move it to Nancy and Stephanie to go ahead and go over our 26-27 finalized compressed budget.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. She's going to jump in
Yep.
and help
I'll jump in as
if I'm
needed.
forgetting anything. Yeah. So in your binders, there are 3 sheets of paper tucked in the little front pouch. I like to go over this first before we dive into the budget, just to show you where Elsie gets the number that we are given. And I know you guys have already been on previous budget committees, so you probably know all of this, but sometimes if there's a new
Yeah,
person,
same. This is George's first budget meeting with us. So
this is fun, and it goes back to my math teaching days, and so I like to do this. Okay, so the first sheet it says to district business manager. You can look at that. It really is a layout for the biennium, the 2025-2027 biennium, which has an allocation of 11,359,400,000. We are on the second year of that biennium, and we do a 49-51 split. So we are looking at 793,294,000. From that, you can see the list of parentheses items that by statute are removed or added up to be allocated. And that gets us down to a state revenue for formula of the 5.73. Then we have to do local revenue, and we get to a total revenue formula of the 8.569 billion. From that, districts across the state get 95.5% of that, and the ESDs across the state get 4.5%. So that's how that all breaks down. And then you can see those numbers at the bottom. So that's just sort of a real quick rundown of how we get to the number that then distributes to specific districts. The next 2 sheets of paper that I have for you, there's one, and it's extended ADMW, and it looks like this. So in the equalization formula, different students require different levels of support. Different regions across the state require different levels of support. And so we have these weights that go in. So Elsie is set at 200, projected at 255 ADMR. Then we look at students in EL programs, so English language acquisitions. There's students in pregnant parenting programs, IEPs, the students above the 11% cap. So you can see how all of these are weighted, and then number count. Some of them are at a 1.0, some are at a 0.5. And so as we go through, we can see that we have 28.05 for that IEP cap times a whole weight in addition to the original weight. And it's adding these numbers up. So our ADMW jumps from a projected 255 to a 296. And then as we go down into the charter, you can see we have additional weights that are pretty substantial. Our remote elementary school correction is significant. So that's an extra 55.13. And small high school correction at 50.46 times the 1. So adding in 105.59 to the 296 brings us to an extended ADMW of 401.69. And then that third page runs you through the actual calculations. So you can see the 2026-27 local revenue, and we'll see this in the budget as well. You can see the common school fund, all the way down to that sum of the local revenue. We also do a teacher experience adjustment. So they take the collective district average teacher experience, and if it's more than the state average, then we get a positive weight. If it's less, we get a negative weight. It's not drastic, but it is in the formula. So I just wanted to share that with you. We have our transportation grant as well. And because our geographic region that we provide and our expenditures are so high, we're at the top. So we are at the 90% reimbursement rate for the state. It's at a 70, 80, or 90, and we are at the top. So you can kind of follow this breakdown. I will not go through the total algebraic equation with you, but you can see through each box how you get to the general purpose grant. And then from that, we get our total revenue formula, which basically adds our general purpose grant of the 4.537648 to the transportation grant of 918,000 for a total of 5,455,648 and 84 cents. And then we have to subtract our local revenue. And that gives us our total of 4,875,000 71. And there's a few other little calculations that you can see in there. Total formula revenue per extended ADNW is the 13,582. So all of those numbers are how they get Alsea School District the number for the budget. Any questions on those calculations? And every district is going through that same process. Okay. So we will dive right in. Proposed budget, if you will go to my budget message. Now, in the past, other districts, I've read this word for word. What do you prefer? Some people don't care. Some people are like, we already read it. It's great. It's your preference.
I prefer a summary of your statement because we can always dive into it a little bit deeper, but
Yes, absolutely. So obviously I just ran through the calculation of where we get our funds. This budget, general fund, as well as our special revenue funds. Special revenues are things like our title funding and our student investment account, high school success, REAP, SURSA, CSI, TSA. We have a lot of additional grants, state and federal, that we receive that supplement and make this district operate. So those are all included in this. I do want to give a huge thanks to Nancy Hall, who's on here tonight, as well as Stephanie, for putting this budget together. It's beautiful. There's some neat, I think they're really helpful sheets. They're little summary sheets on top of each function. I think make it much easier to digest all of the numbers that are being thrown at you. So thank you very, very much.
it's Nancy's handiwork.
It's Nancy's. Okay, great job, Nancy. And so thank you. I also want to thank all of our departments and our staff. In January, we started a survey, and it was truly like every single department. What do you need? What do you want? What is going to make your program thrive? So taking all of that data, throwing that in, looking at our historical data, and spending days and days putting this budget together so that we can have a successful school year.
Here.
Oh, yeah, that might be easier. Some summary pieces. We are including in here a summer learning grant we've applied for. We have not yet been awarded. We do not know when ODE is going to award it. Hopefully soon, but that funding is in there so that we have the spending authority should we be granted it. We do have the 100,000 transfer from general fund for the food service, 150 transfer to bus replacement, and 200 transfer to capital projects. Unemployment reserve fund at about a $240,000 contribution there. PERS reserves as well, and interest income. Our district goals are continuing to really focus on RTI, so response to intervention, MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, making sure that our staff are trained and educated in the best practices so that we can work our magic with our kids, all tiers. And so all of the pieces that we're going to talk about in here really point to that, making sure we have appropriate, effective curriculum, the training to implement that, and all of the support services to serve our kids. We are adding additional Learn at Home grade 7. So that's going to help increase some student enrollment as well, with the hopes that we continue to build that program into a full middle school and perhaps beyond. We're also looking at enhanced elective offerings for our secondary, and also some additional building and grounds maintenance items that just beautify the district and make it appealing for our families and a place that our kids can be proud of. Across the state, we are looking at declining enrollment. It is a fact. It's happening in every district. So that's a very real concern. And again, why we have to be extremely effective at what we do in our classrooms, in our programs, whether that's athletic programs, extracurriculars, core, all of it. We really have to be high performing. So that's what this budget is designed to provide. All right, so let's skip through basically page 1 is down the financial section. Fund 100, okay, general fund accounts for all general operating revenue, expenditures, and transfers of the district. Basically, the principal source of revenues are from the local tax levy, state basic school support, which we just went through on those handouts. So I want to show you, they put together a really nice summary sheet this first one on page 1 is the general fund by object. So you can look over the farthest column to the right shows the FTE that's associated with it. And the column just before that is our 26-27 proposed value. So this is broken down into license salaries across every single object. It doesn't matter. It's all in there and classified. And again, we don't need to read through this because we're going to go through it a little bit more specifically, but it's a great snapshot if you want to look at the data that way.
Can I just add something here? Sorry.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that we've looked at in the past and kind of focused on is where we've seen big jumps in that
Yes.
FTE space. And there's been questions around that from board and
Yes.
budget committee, but I think those are areas just that, like when I'm looking at this with my eyes, I'm going, what are the discrepancies here in this space? And what questions do I have that generate from that? Sorry to interrupt you.
Nope, that's perfect. And that's easier to see when we get into those functions
Mhm.
and you can see that. And one thing I will point out, we tried really hard to put the people in the functions that they work in. In a district this size, people do shift around. And so sometimes they start out all elementary and then all of a sudden they're half elementary and then they're a quarter in the middle school and they're a quarter in the high school. We did try to accurately adjust that. So you might see some major FTE changes, but it's because we're putting them in the right categories that they need to be in.
The other
So one
ones
person
were
might be split into the multiple. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
and coding them to a grant out of the general fund.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so can you dive into that just a little bit more? Because that would be my question is, did we budget for them in general funds? And then if we can pay for them out of a grant throughout the year, we will? Or what does that look like for you?
I think we tried to mostly budget them in the grant that they're going to be in, as long as we know that the grant is going to cover them the next year
Yes.
and exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The next section, starting on page 4, just basically restructures all of those allocations by the function. So if you want to look at it that way. And then let's go to jump to page 7, and this is our revenue. So you can look at the 26-27 proposed, the current tax year taxes, prior year's taxes, and this just run through this. We have interest on investments, $375,000, services provided to education agencies, $44,000, and it runs down to a total local sources revenue of $1,083,300.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
I noticed on 1940,
Yep.
it was previously zeros and now it's jumped to 44. What is that services provided to education agencies?
Believe that is through the ESV.
ESV.
Okay.
The tier 2, then in that
That
case,
would be actually that would be tier 1.
that's tier
Yes.
2 is what's paid for.
Yeah.
Tier 1 is what we pay for. Thank you.
And why would that not have missed? Just curious if that was a correction made or where that would have been located in a previous budget.
I do know a couple. I was not here, so
Right.
I don't know. I know that Laura and I were looking through things earlier, and I do have a feeling there were some items allocated in different
Okay.
areas.
So it was,
And I think as Nancy and Stephanie went through this, really trying to make it as transparent as possible and adding some line items in areas that didn't exist before.
okay.
That makes sense because when we had our previous business manager, there's a lot of rolling up to see kind of like the 100,000-foot view rather
Yeah.
than kind of getting closer to this view. So just this is, I think, some of what the previous budget members had kind of wanted to see was this detail.
I feel like this was the detail I saw the first year I was on
Yes.
budget committee.
Yes.
And then there was a shift. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Going down through local sources, ESD additional resources, 7,100, intermediate resources. We've got the state school fund, which we went through that calculation. That's going to be the bulk of it. And then the common school fund. And then our beginning fund balance.
Reserves.
The reserves. Okay, so we add all of those up and you're looking at $11,921,350.85 for our revenue. And then we're going to dive into expenditures. So in the Fund 100, Function 1111, this is all of elementary. These are the little snapshot summaries that are fantastic. Thanks again for doing that. It gives you a rundown on the left column, a brief program description, what FTE is assigned to that function, and then the funding source, of course, and then any kind of budgetary notes that we might want to add in there. And then over on the right is just a breakdown by the object of what those totals are. So if you want to have a quick reference. If you go to page 9, this is going to give you that line item detail that you can go into. Always starting at the top at the 100 is going to be salaries. As you get into the 200s, that's going to be the benefits that are associated, those payroll costs. As you move down into the 300s, this is where we have instructional, professional, technical services that might be acquired throughout the year. Rentals, travel. Rentals are typically your copier and all of those pieces, and those are spread across all levels. Some travel for professional development and those kinds of things. Consumables. One piece I wanted to draw your attention to, you'll see a huge reduction in 410s, consumables, and our 420s, which are the textbooks. And you're going to see that across all elementary, middle, and high school levels because statutorily we have to have this in here, but we have a grant that allows for that allocation. And so we moved about 90% of it to that grant. The money is still there. We're still looking at those previous values, about 10,000 and about 13,000 total, but it's just distributed across the SRSA grant, SIA, and the general fund. Okay. Any questions on elementary services? The next is 1113. So that is going to be your elementary, extracurricular. There's a little bit of athletics and supervision components in here, and you'll see that under salaries and then the roll up and some consumable supplies. We don't have a ton of elementary programs, but we want to keep building those. So we want to keep budgets for those. Page 12, 1121. This is going to be our middle school. So again, another snapshot, but if you want to go to the line items, you'll see that same reduction in our 410s and our 420s, because again, we moved a lot of that to SRSA and SIA. And you'll also see some adjustments in those FTEs, like Christine was saying. And again, really trying to make sure that they are allocated to the programs that they work in so that we can follow that.
This budget also follows your move from 8th grade to sixth grade to the middle school. So follows that change in that structure of the school, the operations. Cool. Thank you.
Yep. Absolutely. And we did add a little bit extra in those supplies to make sure that all of those classes have what they need. Okay. Moving on, then there's the middle school extracurricular. Again, a snapshot and pretty much maintaining those levels across just because we have the same programs continuing.
Just for a technicality, I
Yes.
think your 600 box needs an edit
600, where is it?
on the right side.
Oh,
600.
oh, it just doesn't it?
Just so it's official. 1 0 too many.
Oh, yeah, that's a great budget.
Very exciting.
Okay. Good catch, Jamie.
Fast. We all failed.
That's okay.
I know. I've looked at this like 5
Well,
times.
find out. Give him a chance.
That's usually Soren's job.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to 1131 high school programs. Again, snapshot, and I sound like a broken record, but the 410s and the 420s also reduced here in the general fund, but transferred over into SRSA and SIA to make sure that we have those funds available. You're also going to see a huge drop in the 420 because there were some, I believe there were some adoptions previously set for the high school on curriculum. And that won't be necessary now, not to that level. It was 37,800 before. And even looking at our historical data, nothing close to that. So we reduced there. 1132 is going to be your high school extracurriculars. Again, really holding pretty steady, but adding some funds in the travel as our teams are becoming more and more successful. We're going to do more playoff potentially. That's travel. It's a big expense, but it's exciting. So increase that a little bit. And as always, our dues and fees, OSAA, all the different commissions for the different sports, those continue to increase.
Can I ask a question on 211 under PERS, just
Yes.
based on where the state's been at, and some of the concerns that have come up? We are more than halfway reducing that. Is there have concerns about that?
Mm-hmm. I know that we reduced some of the salaries, and to be honest, I thought we were reducing some of the middle school salaries. Right, Stephanie?
It was something with middle school, and then we got rid of 2 positions completely.
On the middle school though, not on the high school.
Oh, true.
I think there is a mess up. I'm gonna double check with Nancy.
Okay. Because when I'm looking at this, so when I look at the salaries on the high school side, we're only reducing by $1,000 on salary, not on FTE necessarily,
Mhm.
219 to 218. But that PERS drop is pretty significant to that.
Which page are you on? Are you on this extra?
Sorry, looking at 17 and 19.
Ah.
If I look in between the two of those on 211. So you tell me
Yeah.
if I'm completely off then. That's
No,
big.
you're good. So on page 17, this is
Oh.
gonna be our teachers.
Okay, so this is
This-
extracurricular.
Yes,
This-
so it's gonna be
that's what I-
separate,
But
but it's
we
still,
anticipating that's that big of a drop though in the extracurricular space?
no, and that's the piece that I'm
Okay.
concerned that should be on the middle school side
Okay,
and not the high school side. So we're gonna double check on that.
thank you.
And I don't know if Nancy can speak to that tonight or not.
Nancy? I don't know if she can. There she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is on high school extracurricular?
Yes.
PERS, page
And-
9.
Okay. And was that directed towards the PERS?
Yes.
Yeah, it dropped to 11.
Okay. So sometimes you have coaches that are not teachers or don't have another job within the school and they would not qualify for PERS.
That's what it is.
And,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, we based the salaries and benefits on the current staffing.
Thank you.
That is, thank you, Nancy. That's absolutely what it is.
It drove the memory. I'm going to talk about that.
Okay.
See, we
I ran like two
Went through this. Yeah.
you guys
Okay.
are probably cross-eyed when you're looking at this.
We are, but no, I thank you. That is perfect. It's exactly what it is. But good catch. Okay, other questions on the extracurricular for high school? I mean, we're telling coaches, of course, there's still room for all the fundraising and all the extras that go with it, but I still feel like a pretty healthy budget to support our kids in their activities. Because it's such a big part of our school district. Okay, moving to 20. So function 1250, so special education. And if you want to go to the line items, fairly steady. We haven't made any major changes to our SPED department. We are hiring a new SPED teacher. Right. There's really no other changes here. So I'm not sure if there's anything that stands out to you. There's nothing that stands out to me as a drastic change.
Hiring or just hired?
Just hired. Sorry.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry.
I'm like,
but a shift from the prior.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Just a quick question on this one, sorry.
Yes.
The classified salaries. When we look at that drop from that 4.6 FTE to that 3.7.
Yes.
How does that impact our MOE and that spending? Like, does that,
It
are we
does.
negatively impacted in that space?
It's not a negative impact. It does impact. But we have to truly allocate our funds where those people are working.
Fair.
And I don't think they were allocated appropriately before. One good thing is we do have a backfill option because we do have a SPED director and that funding was not in here before. So it can compensate for that. So it's more accurately reflecting. That makes sense. Okay. Perfect. Okay, next page, or 22, we've got the 1291 ELL, English Language Learner Program. This is really just a stipend for the person that is in charge of that. And then, of course, the associated roll-up. Page 24, 2113 are social work services. So a portion of this is for our family outreach liaison, but also funded out of early learning grant and SIA grant. So this is a full position. It looks extremely small here, but it's because it's split across. And then the associated roll-ups with that. Page 26. Student accounting services, it funds a portion of a classified FTE. So again, it's part of an FTE. And then that person is funded out of some other places as well. Nursing services, page 28. This is a contracted service available through the ESD, and that's just a flat cost, but no roll-ups with that. The next few pages, 30 through, I believe, 34. These are going to be services contracted through LVL ESD. So we have our psychological services. We have our speech language, audiology, and then like OT, PT, all of those services as needed. And so all of those are contracted through LVL. And again, just budgeted based off historicals and then as needed. The spending authority is there. Okay. 36. And if I'm going too fast or telling you too much information, not enough, just let me know. All right, page 36. So service directions, student support services, 2190. A percentage of the SPED director, which is within the superintendent role, is assigned here. Could cover those needs. Which is what I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, that's gonna, I was just gonna point that out maybe to George and to, like, there's been big split, they split people's salaries. So like the superintendent's salary, because there's those separate roles, doesn't come just out of that one space, to get separated into multiple areas of grants. So as we look at things in the future, if grants go down, we have to look at how we can allocate that. So I don't have to do that. Sorry, being clear on that.
That's perfect. Okay, page 38. So improvement of instruction. So this one is at a 0. It's really all allocated to our SIRSA, TSI, CSI, and SIA grants. So we didn't get away with or we didn't do away with improvement of instruction. It's just funded in that area. Page 40. So educational media services, so our library, some funds for library books, periodicals, and software. And again, these numbers were derived from the department heads across the building. 2230 assessment and testing. So again, another stipend. This is our district test coordinator, which is required by ODE. They train all the teachers to do the SFAC. And then all of the prep and the reporting and those requirements, which are all underway right now. Much to the dismay of our students. Page 44, 2240, instructional staff development. So within our CDA, staff are able to apply for a reimbursement for tuition. And so that is set at the $20,000 per year. So that's what that budget is for. Page 46, Board of Education Services. So going to 47 on those breakouts. Let's see here, a little increase in some extra duty on that. And travel, we kept the same. The audit services, legal services, the audit services stayed the same. The legal services, we dropped significantly. So we looked at the historical data. We also looked at what's happening in the district right now, and it is not as high of a need as it has been in the past. And so we reduced that. But we still want to have funds in there, always.
Can you explain the additional salary extra duty piece of that?
Yep. So in the past, the board secretary was not paid to do all the work that is done. And so I added that.
Thank you.
And then the liability insurance, I know this existed. It's 30,000. You can see the zeros in the prior years. I just believe it was in another area that wasn't articulated clearly. So we wanted to add that in as its own line item.
Which one was that one?
Oh, the 651, the liability
Oh,
insurance.
thank
Yeah. Any questions on that page?
Well, if it was in another category, did another category to go down that much?
To be honest, we looked, we can't find where they had that, but I can't imagine that we didn't have liability insurance.
I hope.
So I think it's one of those, we think that it's one of those that it was
Extremely
coded somewhere else.
What about 389? It was consistent, then it went up last year and then it's back down.
Yeah, so the adopted, but we looked at the historical actuals.
And brought it.
And
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
And that is also, I think, partly due to how much education the boards needed and how many people it brought in that space, correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Like, so the OSBA, and then all of our superintendent searches that we've done, anything we
Right.
contracted out.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. good point. Okay.
I would say legal services is down pretty significantly in this one.
It is.
And that makes sense.
I mean, I'm happy about that. I'm not gonna lie. It's a good trend. To say that we're, adhering to the laws and following the rules. And,
It's always good.
but is that based off of previous actuals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It is.
But can I just ask this?
Uh-huh.
As we look at like these travel and out of district services and things like that, just say to the board we should be conscientious about that and see how we can bring that down. Summer conferences have changed. We still want to do education and things like that, but where can we consolidate membership and education opportunities so the board is saving the district dollars as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's a fine line because yes, we want to save money. We also want to make sure that our people are supported and educated. Same with our staff. And that investment is critical. But there's also a line of at what point is it sufficient and what point is it excess?
Not wanting to be frivolous, but still wanting, like she said, to have the development option.
Because we ask, especially with the board, we ask people who've never done this before to just jump in and then you're in charge of the school district. It's
No pressure.
No
But
pressure.
I would recommend going to those conferences because they teach so much.
Yes, they do.
I agree. I probably to a point where I can do with less of those.
And the first years, maybe where you do more, the first 2 years, maybe a little more, and then it's on a rotation basis or whatever. I agree. Okay. Page 48, Office of Superintendent Services. So you can see that the administrative FTE is reduced down because quarter of that was in said services. And then a portion of the classified as well, 0.75. And the other the other 0.25 of that classified is in, I believe, Office of Principals. So it's just kind of split out. Slight increase in travel by 500, just with the cost of fuel. Anticipated that would probably be critical. And then other than that, keeping it pretty simple. The software we reduced drastically because we don't have a need for that. And computer hardware we did increase to make sure that the office has highly functioning computers.
We've learned it's very difficult to get things done
Without that support. Exactly. Yes. Okay. Office of Principal Services. So this is going to be the Dean of Students, the online principal, and the quarter principal that I'm allocated under because I'm the K-12 principal, and then a whole classified position as well. And if you go to page 51 with those line item pieces, again, a little redistribution of the classified and where those go. We did also just not fill some of those pieces when those resignations came in. I would say a slight reduction based on historicals and budget requests. And didn't highlight this one, sorry. I feel like other than that, it's pretty steady. Except advertising. We still have 4,000 in advertising and we are doing a lot of work in that in that space, especially with our learn at home. But we're still nowhere near 4,000 from the actuals. Okay. So. 52 fiscal services. Flip into 53 on the specifics. We do have the sub finder. If you look at the additional salaries, so that is in there. It is an everyday job. And so that I've decided needs to be paid for because it is always late at night or early in the morning. Mm-hmm. So that one was added in there. Believe it was 3,000 before, but it's just going to say we have a lot of subs all the time.
It's like an on-call position.
It is an on-call.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think that needs to be compensated. And you'll see one piece of the reduction in the FTE on the classified. So to align with the PBAM, we did move some of that to the HR in the 2640. So it's a little bit here and a little in another area because those position splits. Okay. Page 54, operations and maintenance of plant. So we have 2 classified. So those are the custodial staff and then the managerial role. And it's half because the other half is in transportation. So you can go through on 55. We do have some slight reductions in repairs and rentals and supplies based on the actuals and the projected needs. We did increase electricity. Last year's electricity was extremely high and we did not come anywhere near that. So we're still high on the budget because we know that's going to be an increase, just not as high as last year. Not as high as the budgeted amount last year.
Can I ask a question on fuel?
Yes.
Why is that decreasing?
Yep. So that's not just the fuel for, that's like fuel for lawnmowers and weed eaters and those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said subs is an issue. I see a significant decrease in the subs line item there. Is that because most of the sub expense was likely in transportation, not necessarily in
transportation and then our subs in the building, the classrooms and those kinds of things.
But not in maintenance?
Not as much.
Okay.
And it is a hard one to know.
Yeah.
From year to year. We don't know.
And is that closer to
best projection.
actuals?
They did base them on actuals. Mm-hmm. Great. Absolutely.
Okay, can I ask another question? On
Yeah.
that? Did we look at year-over-year actuals? Because I can see like we went from 10,000 to 8,000, budgeted 15, or we adopted and budgeted that 15. Is that 4,000?
Closer to the actuals of last year of the 25-26 actuals, which aren't in here because we're not totally.
We're not totally done. It's hard to give those numbers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, page 56. So student transportation services. Again, here's going to be the drivers and then the other half of the managerial piece, the supervisor. There's that. And so based on these projected needs, we did do an increase in the repairs and anticipated costs there. Increase in insurance, all of those were a standard percentage increase.
Why was rentals so large last year? Why did we do
Why
that?
did we budget so much for rentals?
I don't
didn't know.
know. And there was no document.
This is closer to actuals.
Right.
Yes. We were not anywhere near that 36. I don't know. There must have been an anticipated.
One of the rentals for this one was the porta potty out by the buses.
Mm-hmm. And it's not anywhere near that.
Not that expensive.
And there's no documented notes from the prior administration, so I'm not sure
Interesting.
why that was set.
I wonder if we could watch a past meeting and
We totally probably could. If we, well, we didn't get to this detail though. I mean,
true. But you would think that would have been something you mentioned.
Look. Yeah,
I'm
not sure.
Was there a need to like rent a bus at some point?
Well,
Or
that's I
that
was
before
wondering
you
maybe.
did
I got
I got nothing. It's not ringing a bell.
Was that, remember we lost the bus driver and we had to do
Oh.
first student
Yeah.
for the year?
That wouldn't have gone under rentals, though. That would have gone under a contracted service, right?
Unless they somehow rented
Unless
the
they-
bus.
No, we didn't rent the
Rented,
bus.
rented driver.
Rent a driver.
We would have contracted
Should have been like a free,
It wasn't.
But there's not a contract.
not a contracted
Services.
No, I just remember it was very
That-
expensive to go
yes.
that route.
But we wouldn't have budgeted for that for this year because we didn't anticipate having that contracted employee for the 25-26 year that we had budgeted, we adopted for.
Yeah.
So it would really be, what did we anticipate
That's for this
happening
year.
in this year?
Right.
In
Right.
that space.
They may have put some there in case because we weren't sure at this time
That could be.
last year if we were going to be in the same boat.
Well, then there was lots of transportation struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make sense for rentals, but I'm in the weeds
I
that don't necessarily matter in that space.
But I don't.
But if we've
see
looked
a
at, if we're
contracted
looking at,
service.
if
Like
we're looking
you,
at actuals year over year, that 6,000 matches that, and if it matches more of what we've spent this year,
Mhm.
it's a more appropriate budget line.
It's a little more realistic budget. And
Mhm.
again, a budget is a best guess
yeah.
based on the prior.
Kids are so price.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yes.
There it is.
Okay, 60,
I was kind of thought it would be,
Yeah.
I thought it would have been fair.
technology services. So if you go to 61, so we have the stipend for the tech support. And then all of those roll-ups, we have the phone system, communication systems. We have things like Aptigee, our new app that's going to be coming in, our Learn at Home platform, Chromebooks, that's going to be under your hardware. So all those basic technological needs.
Still some decreases.
Some decreases. Mhm. So like under hardware, he did an inventory and that's even a little high, he thinks. But he has a stockpile of really good ones and they're highly functioning, about 25 of them. And he's on a rotation basis. So he thought,
He refuses to share.
It's a 5-year rotation basis from when we talked about this in 2020.
Yeah.
So,
so he felt that this was completely adequate.
do we get those computers back every year from our online program and then we
Yes.
resend out new ones?
Okay. Oh, we don't?
No, because I send them FedEx.
Mhm.
And so to get them back every year is going to be an addition. It's like about,
they came in.
I only get them back if they withdraw.
Oh, yes.
So
Okay.
if they pre-register for the next year, I
Okay.
don't worry about it.
Okay, but if they, okay,
Yeah.
that's operational, but I was just,
Yeah.
thank you.
I see. I know you're mailing them out like crazy
Mhm.
at the beginning of the year.
I'm gonna go turn for myself.
Okay, nothing under, so 62 supplemental retirement. This is all just historical data, but historical information, but nothing in those, nothing with that service fees. Page 66, so this is going to be our transfers of funds, so function 5200. So fund 290, 299, and 400. If you go to page 67, you can see those values. So 100,000 to the food service, bus replacement at 150,000, and then the capital projects at 200,000. For a total of 450,000. Page 68, our upper.
Sorry, are we investing any more in this capital or are we just carrying over the 200,000 from the previous year?
There's 200,000 and then there's a beginning fund in there as well that we'll get to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. You're jumping ahead.
You're good. You want me to hurry up? I know.
I know.
I talked too long. Okay, operating contingency. So again, this is like that emergency expenditures, which are completely unforeseen, 500,000 there. Without planned reserve. And our page 70 unappropriated ending fund balance. So again, if you want to look at the description here, an estimate of funds needed to maintain operations of the school district from July 1 to the ensuing fiscal year and the time when sufficient new revenue becomes available. Meet those cash flow needs of the fund. So 5,830,545, I'm sorry, which we talked about at the beginning. So even with the different cuts we made that were non-personnel cuts, and then absorbing positions and all of that we've done this year to try to save money because of COLAs and steps and utilities and insurance and all of those increases, we are still deficit spending $769,000. Jamie made a point. Yes, it is not the 1.2 million that was in the past. So we are making progress, but we still have work to do. We need more students. And then at that point, there will be an evaluation and we might need to look at other cuts as we move forward if we can't get the numbers up.
But I think also, is it fair to say that many of these savings have been done through attrition rather than a forced reduction?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And program evaluation.
Okay, the next section, special revenue. So these are the 200s, and these are all of those state, local, federal grants, nutrition services, and student body funds. And it almost looks like the same budget again, because they break it out through all those functions and objects. But if you want to look at this cover sheet on 74, it's $1,867,870.17 in the special revenue funds.
What is that jump in services provided charter schools? We went 22 to 70. I'm 1943 on page 74. That's a huge jump.
That is a big one. And that.
I mean, this is revenue, so that's exciting.
It is.
However,
It is.
it's a little suspicious.
Well, and I mean, we're down overall, which is funny because there's rentals again. Sorry.
Oh, I know.
Rentals.
Well, actually, no, that wouldn't even be enough.
For chairs or.
I was thinking, so there are some grant funds in here that we're not awarded. We have to put them in so that if we get them, we have the spending authority. Like the summer learning grants. There's no guarantee, but that wouldn't be that total number. That's actually more than that number.
So if those are not awarded, we have to come back to the table.
Nope.
It's WLA dispatch.
Oh, great.
Dispatching for WLA.
Changing in 7.
Good job, Nancy.
Yeah, there was actually a contract that WLA wanted us to have for $45,000 where we did their dispatch.
Is this their dispatch? Is this $70,000 a combination of their dispatch and then a component of the FTE payment for like our payroll services and things like
I
that?
think for administrative.
Yes.
And we are still negotiating that contract.
We are negotiating that contract. It's not set in stone yet, but we had to put it in here for them.
That's what, okay.
So that rentals amount
Mhm.
is the exact same amount that we were talking about on the transportation side too.
Okay, but this is yeah. Yeah.
The 36,000.
Yeah.
It was in our budget last year and it's the exact same amount. Taking it in.
Okay, so I don't
That
know.
would have washed.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just.
We're still in the weeds over here. Hey,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, sorry.
But okay, that makes more sense, I guess, on that services provided for the charter.
Okay. I didn't realize you put it in there. I know we're working on it. That's great.
Yep.
Because we have to have that authority if we
If we end up
solidify that contract.
And because it's in a grant, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So it's not like the general fund where it's money that we actually have. It's just, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, we don't have to come back to the budget committee. Okay, if you run from page 75 to page 86, this is just the distribution of all of those grants across all of those functions. And again, those are budget best estimates for those funds. Okay. And 87 brings us to the fund 300, so the debt service funds. And 88 just has those few line items there. So again, current year's taxes, interest on investments for a debt service fund total of 129,200. Page 89 is just the summary of those debt service funds again, breaking it out between regular interest, redemption principal. So under the 5110 long-term debt service, unappropriated ending fund balance reserved for next year. One more specific breakdown. Page 90 and 91 talk about our capital projects for the fund 400. You can see that interfund transfer we talked about for the 200,000, and then there's a beginning fund balance of 200,000. So there is 400,000 in there. I know that we have applied for another seismic, and that grant will be awarded May for the next May start. So we'll know that. But
These capital fund projects, though, this is what I was talking about, right?
Yep,
We're
this is what- yeah.
we're like, if we need a new roof.
yep,
if
we have exactly.
Like it's a savings account to
For-
continue keeping the facilities in
100%.
place, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have before.
Window didn't have that. Okay.
Well, no, we didn't have anything prior to last year. We weren't budgeting anything in this space.
Oh, got you.
So like the funds that were in this space were through the
Like bonds and
Bond and- some of the seismic.
Mhm.
But we didn't we found that we were going over, we didn't have anything that
Right.
big. So this is where,
And you had to pull
That
from
team
general fund or
to start-
something.
yeah, so we're starting to look future, like
Mhm.
to have that future scope.
Perfect. Okay. 93 internal service funds, so the fund 600, mainly unemployment and FERS reserves. So you can see those numbers in there on 94. 272,600. There was a beginning fund of 882,000 as well. So just continuing to add to that. Christine, did you have questions there?
Well, I guess the question I had in that space was we did not take from staff this last year. We didn't budget in that space.
Mhm.
And just based on where our state school fund budget is going and what we're seeing as a trend overall in Oregon, do we need to plan differently and have that budgeted for
To come out of paychecks.
to come out of paychecks? And it's a hard conversation because I think the goal was to not harm our staff.
Right.
But in the event we do have to discuss forced reductions,
Mhm.
We've got to be able to pay them.
we were caught flat-footed the last time we went through
Right.
this. There was a lot more staff than we have today.
Mhm.
But yeah, we were caught.
I think two things with that. I think looking at next year when we really truly have to look at potential reductions, this is a place to look, and also providing summer employment through those grants for summer programming and providing an opportunity for staff to work in the summer.
Okay.
Would be ideal first.
Okay.
Yes. But not off the table completely.
I'm good with that. Just want to ask the question.
Yep, that's a great question. Okay. And that brings us to the end of all of our funds. Questions, fire away.
Job. Team. That was
Agreed.
so good.
Oh, good. So my binder did just explode.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Lorraine.
Did I miss it, or did you talk about whether we are billing unemployment to payroll again? Because we were in the past, and then we stopped, and are we doing that again?
We did talk about it, but Stacy explains it much more eloquently. So I'm gonna have Stacy explain that.
So yes, great question. We were just discussing that. So it's not off the table to have this as a discussion item that it would need to go back on the employee. But what we'd like to look at first is providing summer.
Okay, that's what you were. Okay, that's what you were just talking about. I
Yes,
just missed
exactly.
the point that it was.
Yes.
I missed that it was related to unemployment.
Okay, yes,
got
that's
it.
exactly what we were talking about.
Okay,
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now we'll open up for any public comments. Anybody online might have questions? Keep down for everyone, please. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
I wait for time. Order question?
Sure, I mean, it to like board members.
Board members, any more questions, comments, concerns, queries?
Russ, I noticed you're on there now. Do you have any questions?
No, I do not. I'll pick up my booklet later. You guys wouldn't have wanted me there anyway. I've been sick the last 2 days. Sorry. That's why I had to go to Portland today, not yesterday. But
Do you want me to drop it off on my way home?
oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Out the window.
Yeah,
I'll
I was
just
just
buy
a
my way home.
cough and a low grade fever yesterday, but it's not the end of the world. But you probably still wouldn't want me there.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll drop it off.
So I just wanted to recap a few things. So we had an adjustment. Now I'm going to use my, we had a couple adjustments just overall. A couple catches, or I think it's just one catch. Was that one little? It was that 15,000 instead of 1,300.
Yes. Yeah,
Right?
gotta
It's just
adjust
one.
that.
I've already made that we got cross-eyed on, right?
Yep. I think so.
Yep. Yeah, because we got clarification on that first question.
Yes.
And the extracurriculars. So that was, okay, so page 14,
14.
under the 600 other item. It
Yes.
needs to be 1,500.
Yes.
The other thing I want to just ask, I think the whole budget committee is, this is what we've had in years before. We've gone through different business managers and things like that. But to aid Stephanie, as she's doing this, is this how the budget committee wants to see the details?
So
Is this
I will
helpful?
say, I personally like this a lot better than last year's. I think this is very clear to understand, in my opinion.
Okay, 100%.
Yeah.
George's
Well done.
like, was it good though? Was it helpful to understand?
George loved it.
And then the only other thing I would say is, yeah, we're still overspending, but we're overspending less. And, sounds like we're putting a lot towards our grant services and helps in that space too, to continue to help making that up. So appreciate that.
And thank you to the staff for being aware that we're in this boat and making good choices for our kids and keeping education and our students' priorities first. So thank you for that.
Okay, so we have the right to approve a proposed budget tonight if we want to.
I would feel uncomfortable with that, knowing that one of my fellow board members hasn't had a chance to review the budget
Mhm.
and ask any questions, and Cheryl as well. So I would like to have one more meeting to potentially allow for some more questions.
It's an improvement when they're next.
Yes.
May
May
11th.
We're
That calendar though.
at 11, maybe.
May 11th, 6 p.m. Is that before our board meeting?
Next week?
No.
2 weeks.
No, 2 weeks.
That's before or the first part of our regular scheduled board meeting. Okay.
So, because it's an only if, so can we move the board meeting to 7 then that night? I think would be, you'd have to ask via email if we can move our board meeting to 7, so otherwise you don't have.
Yeah, it was the one date
The one
I
day
could
you could
align
do something.
with the board meeting.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll put out an email.
Sorry. Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and keep the additional May 19th.
May
I
11th.
don't have the May
No.
19th.
May 26th is the only other one she has.
Monday,
Oh,
May
I wonder if
11th.
you meant that as May 11th.
Oh,
The 19th, but so the May 11th and the
May
May
11th.
26th. We'll keep it on the calendar just in case. Okay, so the budget meeting is going to be adjourned as of now.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everybody. Thanks, everyone. Volunteers.
Well done, well done.
Are we exhausted?
Yeah. What day is it? What time is it? Thanks, everyone, for coming virtually and in person.
Very, that was.
Hey, JC.
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Yes.
I got mine this morning
and they were
Let me go.
I can hear you, Russ.
Hey, can you give me a quick call tonight on your way home or right before you, just for like 2 minutes?
Sure. Yep.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's one, so, yeah, just in case.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Pat.
Hold on.
Bye.